shooting on Wall Street. 2 people, violent incident.
Sex, money, guns, drugs, and ruthless violence.
Detectives infiltrated 2 drug organizations.
Down on violent crime tonight, a second arrest in last week's shooting at the mall at Millennia. Orlando police say the gunfire is part of a gang feud.
Millions of dollars in stolen property, 25 law enforcement agencies, and a 2-year-long investigation. All of it leads back to Orlando.
Tonight, Orlando police say they have made arrests, but there are more to come.
Gang brawl right in the middle of an intersection. Shots were fired, and now 4 men are behind bars.
In recent years, Central Florida has seen a surge in gang-related violence, theft, and drug trafficking, as evidenced by multiple high-profile operations carried out by law enforcement agencies. From organized car theft rings to shootings between rival factions, gangs such as the Army, 438, and the Mongols have been responsible for widespread criminal activity throughout the state. Investigations such as Operation X-Force, Operation Drive-By-Buy, and Operation Dirty 30s have revealed the extent of these gangs' involvement in violent crimes, retaliatory attacks, and the distribution of dangerous counterfeit drugs. Local law enforcement, in collaboration with state and federal agencies, continues to intensify efforts to dismantle these groups and curb the wave of violence threatening communities.
Ladies, these are the 5 gang members that Orlando police have arrested in an operation they're calling Operation Hot Wheels. Now, investigators tell us these guys stole cars from neighborhoods, used them to commit crimes all over the state of Florida, and then they brought stolen guns right here to Central Florida communities. According to Mills court papers, Orlando police detectives have connected him and other gang members to car thefts involving 25 law enforcement agencies all across the state. They say this picture from Mills' Instagram account shows him standing next to one of 3 cars that they say was stolen from a dealership in Merritt Island. Detectives say this shot from his Instagram shows him next to a white Chevy Camaro, one of 4 cars stolen in Hillsborough County.
Bail out, bail out.
The Volusia County Sheriff's Office helped locate Mills last year after investigators say he stole a Ford Mustang from a dealership in Palm Coast.
Get your hands up! Watch him in now, watch it, Batman!
He was apprehended hiding in someone's swimming pool, but he bonded out of jail 20 days later. In all, Orlando police say Mills and the other 5 already in custody are responsible for nearly $2 million in stolen property, 59 stolen vehicles, and 19 stolen firearms.
5 gang members from Central Florida have been arrested after a 2-year investigation revealed their involvement in nearly $2 million worth of thefts across the state, according to the Orlando Police Department. Detective Mike Glathern explained the gang's method. They would steal a car in Orlando, drive it to another city, and use it to rob car dealerships. They'd steal a car from Orlando and then travel in groups of 4, 5, or 6 to commit the thefts, Glathern said. Court documents linked Mills and other gang members to car thefts in at least 25 different law enforcement jurisdictions throughout Florida. Investigators cited a photo posted on Mills' Instagram, where he is seen standing next to one of 3 cars stolen from a Merritt Island dealership. Another post shows him next to a white Chevrolet Camaro, one of 4 cars stolen from a Hillsborough County dealership. Last year, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office helped track down Mills after he allegedly stole a Ford Mustang from a dealership in Palm Coast. He was found hiding in a pool in DeLand, but was released on bail 20 days later. In total, the Orlando Police Department reports that Mills and the other 5 arrested suspects are responsible for $2 million in stolen property, 59 stolen vehicles, and 19 stolen firearms.
6 o'clock, October 8th, Orlando police evacuate Mall at Millennia after people hear gunshots coming from the food court area. Officers arrest 19-year-olds Trayvon Graham and Joshua Holder and charge them both with attempted first-degree. According to Holder's arrest warrant, one of their intended targets was 20-year-old Jaquavia Smith, known better in rap music circles as Glock 9. His social media handle includes a reference to AFNF. This 20-year-old Javari Walker is the biggest name associated with the 438. He's better known on the music scene as Hot Boy, and his handle includes a 438. Attorneys for both Smith and Walker deny they're a leader or a member of a street gang. Smith's attorney says he's had no involvement in any of the shootings other than being shot at. Walker's attorney says 438 is not a gang. It's a state road that runs through the Pine Hills communities.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office held a news conference on Friday to provide details on a 9-month investigation conducted by the Metropolitan Bureau of Investigation into gang activity within Orange County. Dubbed Operation X-Force, the investigation began in October as tensions between two rival gangs, the Army and 438, escalated. Investigators revealed that the conflict was fueled by disputes over music, women, and territory. Sheriff Mana explained that the Army gang operates out of the Mercy Drive area, while the 438 gang is based in the Silver Star Road area. This ongoing feud between these gangs has led to over 30 shootings and several across multiple jurisdictions, Mana said. Investigators noted that 4 individuals lost their lives after being caught in the crossfire of these retaliatory shootings. Throughout the investigation, authorities seized 15 firearms, including 2 stolen guns and 2 directly linked to the death of King, according to Stucker. Additionally, 13 auto-sears devices capable of converting semi-automatic guns into fully automatic weapons were recovered from the home of Jaquavius Smith, also known as Glock 9. In total, 34 individuals have been arrested as part of the investigation, with 32 facing racketeering charges. A series of drive-by shootings in Central Florida, triggered by the demise of gang member Darian Outsey in May 2021, has led to numerous arrests as part of Operation Drive-By-Buy. Law enforcement uncovered a cycle of retaliation between rival gangs that escalated over 2 years, resulting in multiple shootings and several. Notable incidents include a gun battle at a Winter Haven bowling alley in January 2022 where one person met their demise and others injured, and a series of drive-by shootings that targeted rival gang members throughout 2022 and 2023. The rise in access to firearms and stolen vehicles has contributed to an increase in violence, with law enforcement making several arrests and recovering weapons and drugs during the operation. Despite these efforts, the cycle of gang-related violence has continued to endanger the community. A street gang is under investigation for distributing counterfeit drugs laced with fentanyl, resulting in multiple deletions, Assistant State Attorney Ann Wedge McMillan said. Orange and Osceola State Attorney Andrew Bain announced that a 37-count indictment has led to the dismantling of the gang. 11 individuals have been charged in Operation Dirty 30s with crimes such as deletion and racketeering. Bain stated that the defendants were part of a gang known as Respect, Money Structure, or Everybody K. They're destroying lives, my life, my daughter's life, said Laura Linners, the mother of one of the victims. Evidence photos revealed the gang's alleged operations, which included manufacturing counterfeit drugs designed to mimic common prescriptions. The investigation, which lasted nearly a year, was a joint effort involving the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Orlando Police Department, and the State Attorney's Office.
Biker gang brawl right in the middle of an intersection. Shots were fired, and now 4 men are behind bars.
And Fox 35's Manny Martinez is live near where it happened in Titusville. So, Manny, one of the men reportedly started shooting at the others, who he says attacked him.
Yeah, to try to get away, John. It happened right here at this intersection. Police describe a setup. 3 members of one gang waiting on the lone member of another, blocking traffic before they attacked. In the middle of the evening rush on a summer Friday in July, traffic at the corner of US 1 and State Road 50 could do nothing but watch as 4 men brawled in the street. An arrest affidavit shows witnesses reported the motorcyclists fought with whatever they had, be it knives, baseball bats, pipes, and batons. Titusville police arrested Gage Wilson, Matthew Limperatos, Joseph Summerhill, and Anthony Cifuentes. Police say they're all suspected gang members, with the 3 members of the Mongols outlaw gang beating up on Cifuentes, a member of the Warlocks outlaw gang. Police say Cifuentes pulled out a gun and shot his way out of the scuffle. All 4 suspects scattered before police showed up.
4 members of rival motorcycle gangs have been arrested after police say they clashed in a Titusville intersection. Authorities reported that 3 members of the Mongols outlaw gang unlawfully gathered in the southbound lanes of U.S. 1 near the intersection with the R50, blocking traffic and preventing a Warlocks motorcycle gang member from proceeding. According to police, the Warlocks member dismounted his motorcycle to confront the 3 Mongols who had blocked him in. A physical altercation ensued between the Warlocks member and the Mongols. During the fight, the Warlock pulled out a firearm and fired several shots, prompting all 4 individuals to flee the scene before police arrived. No injuries were reported, officials said. Investigators noted that digital evidence provided by a witness helped Titusville police, along with deputies from the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, Game Over Task Force, and FBI agents. identify and arrest the 4 gang members involved. The 3 Mongols have been charged with aggravated rioting. The string of investigations and arrests linked to gang violence and criminal enterprises in Central Florida underscores the significant threat these groups pose to public safety. Operations like X-Force, Drive-By-Buy, and Dirty 30s have shed light on the destructive influence of gangs, from deadly shootings and car thefts to drug distribution resulting in fatal overdoses. As law enforcement works to hold these gangs accountable and protect the public, community engagement and continued vigilance will be critical in eradicating the root causes of gang-related crime and preventing further harm to the residents of Central Florida. The recent arrests, including those of motorcycle gang members and individuals involved in major criminal syndicates, represent a step toward restoring safety and justice in the region.
Accused of being part of what prosecutors call a white supremacist gang. Investigators say the gang is responsible for violent crime.
New tonight, 9 suspected gang members are now behind bars. Tampa police detectives arresting these men early this morning after a 3-year-long investigation.
It's ruthless, violent, and widespread. That's how federal authorities are describing suspected gang members from Hillsborough County who are all now facing charges.
The Tampa Bay area has seen a significant crackdown on various gang activities as multiple criminal organizations have been dismantled by law enforcement in recent years. These groups, ranging from local gangs like the Alexander Park Gang and 200 Skudda Gang to larger entities such as the Latin Kings and a Florida-based white supremacist group known as the Unforgiven, have been involved in a variety of illegal activities, including racketeering, drug trafficking, and acts of violence. Through extensive investigations and coordinated efforts among local, state, and federal agencies, authorities have made numerous arrests and filed multiple indictments, aiming to disrupt the operations of these gangs and ensure the safety of the community.
Dashboard camera video shows a police chase through a community near Detroit last October. It ended with a suspect from Tampa in jail, accused of carjacking, kidnapping, tying up, and torturing a man. Investigators would eventually charge another Tampa man in connection with the case, Xavier Gardner.
Put your head behind your back!
At the time, this may have seemed like an isolated incident, but federal investigators say it wasn't at all. U.S. Attorney Roger Handberg confirmed that Michigan case was connected to a wide-ranging investigation into the Alexander Park, or AP gang, in Tampa. We're told it's named after the community where some of its members grew up. Handberg says one of those shootings led to a break in the case in April 2022. He says a rival gang, member of the AP gang, in the parking lot of Scores Gentlemen's Club on Dale Mabry Highway. 6 days later, we're told a deadly retaliatory shooting happened at a strip mall in the Town and Country area of Tampa. Detectives recovered about 70 bullet casings. We're told that helped connect the dots to several other crimes. Handberg says investigators have now linked the AP gang to robberies in 4 other states, mostly for drugs.
The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Florida announced that 6 members of the Alexander Park Gang have been indicted on multiple charges, including racketeering and deletion. The Alexander Park Gang, named after a park on North Lois Avenue, was involved in a variety of criminal activities, such as burglaries, robberies, shootings, and drug trafficking. The gang is also accused of committing aggravated assault, home invasion, robbery, and burglary in several states, including Oregon, California, and Michigan. The gang members have been connected to an April 17, 2022 incident at Scores Gentlemen's Club on North Dale Mabry Highway, which resulted in a deletion. Investigators stated that the incident was a result of ongoing tensions between the Alexander Park Gang and the Latin Kings. According to Handberg, a member of the Alexander Park Gang was deleted by a Latin Kings member during that incident. In response, investigators claim that 6 days later, Alexander Park Gang members retaliated by deleting a Latin Kings member in broad daylight. The National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, NIBIN, was used to connect the Alexander Park Gang members to multiple criminal activities in Tampa and other states. Special Agent Kirk Howard noted that the Alexander Park Gang is no longer active, describing it as a sophisticated, well-financed, and ruthless organization that, until recently, was responsible for numerous violent crimes and disrupted communities across the country for profit. If convicted on all charges, the individuals face a maximum penalty of life imprisonment.
4 suspected members of the white supremacist gang Unforgiven, who are from Northeast Florida, sat at a table in front of federal judge Monty Richardson, who ordered they all remain in custody without bond. Prosecutors say the motive to commit such crimes were either to gain entry, maintain status, or increase their position within the gang. They also say the victims were members of rival white supremacist groups like the Proud Boys, Aryan Brotherhood, and Race Baiters. News4Jack's crime and safety expert Ken Jefferson says attacking another white supremacist group is what really sticks out in this case.
16 members of a Florida-based white supremacist group known by aliases such as Shrek, Pretty Boy, and Scumbag have been indicted on 12 counts of racketeering charges, including deletion, kidnapping, and other serious crimes. The group, called the Unforgiven, allegedly utilized corrupt law enforcement officers and state employees to gather information about investigations and to smuggle contraband to incarcerated members, according to the indictment. The indictment states that new members were required to study Aryan philosophy and commit acts of extreme violence as part of their initiation. Members were also expected to get tattoos featuring symbols such as swastikas, iron crosses, and assist bolts, pay membership dues, and attend regular meetings referred to as church. The group established a political branch known as Route 21, which federal prosecutors described as an effort to mask the white supremacist ideology behind their political activities. David Howell, 39, one of the individuals named in the indictment, has been charged with assaulting protesters with a dangerous weapon during a Peace Walk for Black Lives demonstration last June. If convicted, several members, including George Shrek Andrews, Brandon Scumbag Welch, and Joshua Chain Gang Wilson, could face up to 30 years in prison.
New tonight, 9 suspected gang members are now behind bars. Tampa police detectives arresting these men early this morning after a 3-year-long investigation.
According to Police Chief Brian Dugan, they're members of the 200 Skudda gang and responsible for numerous crimes across the country, including witness tampering, identity theft, credit card fraud, and much more.
Stupid boy, you ain't gonna take that.
The gang members include rappers who wrote songs that describe shootings, snitches, and the absence of fear of law enforcement.
Detectives were able to use their music videos, which they posted on YouTube, to connect them to several crimes. This investigation started after the 2016 17-year-old at the Red Roof Inn on Bush Boulevard. Joshua Green, in this surveillance picture, wearing a Skudda gang t-shirt, is the suspected.
Overall, the members of this gang have been hell-bent on committing serious crimes.
The chief says this investigation is far from over and may be more arrests to come.
The term Skudda is a slang expression meaning "let's get it," and according to Tampa police, it refers to making money by any means necessary. This is precisely what the 200 Skudda gang was allegedly doing, as authorities claim its members engaged in a range of activities, including racketeering, identity theft, credit card fraud, illegal firearm purchases, witness intimidation, and drug distribution, stretching from Hillsborough County to Georgia. Following a 2-year investigation, Tampa Police Chief Brian Duggan announced on Tuesday that 9 individuals had been arrested, with additional arrests expected. According to police, the gang's fraudulent activities affected up to 100 victims, and members appeared to operate without fear of apprehension, even using a rap label in Georgia to boast about their actions and their disregard for the law. Chief Duggan stated that this apparent sense of invulnerability among gang members would soon come to an end as more arrests were made. The gang has been linked to a 2016 incident involving the deletion of a 17-year-old during a shootout at a motel on Bush Boulevard, as well as a gang-related feud in April 2017 that resulted in the shooting of 2 rival gang members in Sulphur Springs. Another shooting in May 2017 led investigators to uncover the extent of the gang's activities. The investigation initially focused on what seemed to be a routine drug deal, but soon revealed a more extensive network of fraud and other criminal operations. According to police spokesman Steve Hegarty, the gang members used personal information and credit card numbers obtained online to carry out various financial scams. Additionally, police discovered connections to previous incidents where witnesses had been intimidated, leading to shortened prison sentences for some individuals involved. Officer Steve Monforti of the Tampa Police Department's Violent Crime Bureau explained that in several cases, witnesses had been pressured not to testify, resulting in reduced consequences for those implicated. One shooting victim had to relocate to another state due to intimidation. Among the cases newly linked to the gang is that of Kelly Stacy Jr., a 17-year-old who was deleted during an October 30, 2016 incident. According to court records, Stacy and a friend attempted to purchase $300 worth of smoke using counterfeit $100 bills. The situation escalated, and Stacy was inadvertently deleted by his friend. Investigators later identified members of the 200 Skudda gang as being involved in the drug deal at the hotel, leading to third-degree deletion charges against Joshua Damian Green, 32, for his role in the events that culminated in Stacy's deletion. The quality of the gang's rap videos, according to Officer Chris Skull, indicated the success of their financial schemes, with an increase in production value reflecting their growing revenue over the years. Special Agent in Charge Mark Brutnell of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's Tampa office noted that the gang had been determined to carry out serious criminal activities, but the recent arrests represented significant progress in addressing these issues.
Well, they're calling this Operation Checkmate, as in game over, and the sheriff says it is game over for a number of alleged high-level drug traffickers operating in southern Hillsborough County.
Six-figure cars, six-figure chains, six-figure cash. Investigators say this was all part of a day in the life of two high-ranking Latin King gang members recently busted.
Expensive cars, jewelry, and firearms were a part of everyday life for two high-ranking members of the Latin Kings who were recently arrested during a 3-month narcotics operation in Hillsborough County. According to Sheriff Chad Chronister, detectives and D agents seized over $800,000 worth of drugs, along with 15 firearms, cash, and stolen property after executing search warrants at 5 locations in Wamama last Thursday. The sheriff identified the 2 men leading the local operation as Omar Bravo, the state's top drug supplier, and Fidencio Robles, one of the top 5 Latin Kings members in Florida. The stash houses were reportedly used by at least 19 other dealers to distribute significant quantities of drugs, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in monthly revenue. During a press conference on Monday, Sheriff Chronister was joined by State Attorney General Ashley Moody, who cited border security issues as a contributing factor to the gang's ability to operate in Florida. "We know the lack of security at the southern border has only fueled the growth of these gangs that have infiltrated our state," said Attorney General Ashley Moody. Investigators also discovered the Latin Kings' operational manual, detailing the gang's leadership structure and locations, which Sheriff Chronister said is one of only a few known copies in existence. The sheriff added that the seized firearms are being tested to determine if they are linked to other crimes in Hillsborough County. The successful operations against these gangs demonstrate the effectiveness of coordinated law enforcement efforts in addressing organized crime, with key members facing serious charges. The dismantling of these groups represents a significant step toward reducing gang-related violence and criminal activity in the Tampa Bay area and beyond. While these actions have made the community safer, authorities remain vigilant, emphasizing that ongoing investigations and continued collaboration are essential to maintaining public safety and preventing the resurgence of such criminal.
Right now at 6 o'clock, they were a dangerous criminal gang, Jacksonville police say, which investigators have now dismantled with what's called Operation Crown Down. Sheriff Waters and State Attorney Nelson announced the arrest of these 19 suspected gang members.
These 7 men were part of the drug and gang investigation involving JSO, the DEA, and the ATF.
The Rolling 20s members and associates face charges ranging from murder to cocaine sale. Now, police made the arrests in 2 phases. The first, 22 members, and then the second phase.
The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has announced a series of successful operations that have led to the arrest and indictment of several gang members involved in criminal activities across the city. These operations, carried out in collaboration with the State Attorney's Office, the U.S. Law enforcement agencies targeted gangs such as the Insane Gangster Disciples, Rollin 20s K4T, Problem Child Entertainment, and the 45th Street Gang. Investigations, which spanned several months and even years in some cases, resulted in numerous arrests and the seizure of firearms, drugs, and other evidence linking these gangs to various violent and illegal activities. These efforts highlight the commitment of law enforcement to dismantling organized criminal networks and restoring safety to affected communities.
Right now at 6 o'clock, they were a dangerous criminal gang, Jacksonville police say, which investigators have now dismantled with what's called Operation Crown Down. Sheriff Waters and State Attorney Nelson announced the arrest of these 19 suspected gang members.
That the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office arrested 19 members of the Insane Gangster Disciples, also known as IGD. Most seriously, the sheriff says one member, Chase Robeson, was responsible for of Devontae Jackson last May. I asked the state attorney about prosecuting all these suspects and if they're convicted, whether they'll remain behind bars.
A 6-month investigation has dismantled a West Side gang, arrested 19 people, and seized 18 guns, including an assault-style rifle, the sheriff says. Operation Crown Down left the Insane Gangster Disciples gang functionally extinct, Sheriff TK Waters said Tuesday. The gang, a loose subset of the Chicago-based Gangster Disciples, included members with nicknames like Mouse, Goofy G, and Wolf. Investigators from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office began tracking down members after a shooting in May 2022 deleted Devontae Jackson, 24, in a Kirkpatrick Circle condominium complex near Wilson Boulevard and Interstate 295, police said. The gang operates locally with its roots in Jacksonville's West Side, Waters said. Additionally, investigators learned that its members trafficked in narcotics and engaged in acts of violence. Given the dangers posed by these gang members, investigators crafted this operation with the intention of arresting as many members as possible to rid our community of this criminal organization. Illegal firearms, drugs, and a local criminal enterprise whose activities have caused immeasurable harm in our community have now been taken off the streets, Nelson said. Drug dealing by one of the suspects directly led to the death of a man in December, she said. Though he did not pull a trigger, his actions were just as deadly, she said. Edward Gange, 44, was arrested on drug charges initially, but now faces a manslaughter charge, police said. Forensic research on the weapon showed the rifle was used to kill Jackson almost a year ago, Waters said. One of the handguns was used in shooting in 2021, he said. 13 men have been arrested in connection with a Northwest Jacksonville gang accused of engaging in a range of criminal activities in the area around West 45th Street and Moncrief Road. The arrests are the result of an 18-month collaborative investigation conducted by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Each individual was charged as a member of the 45th Street gang, according to arrest reports, and they all reside in Jacksonville. Under Sheriff Frank Mackesy stated that the gang members were involved in drug sales, theft, and conflicts with other criminal groups, creating a sense of fear and instability in the local community. While the authorities believe the gang has been responsible for more severe acts of violence, such as deletions and assaults, Mackesy indicated that these allegations have not yet been substantiated. One of those arrested, 22-year-old Tyrone Curtis Gant, faces additional charges related to a deletion as well as drug and firearm possession. Mackesy noted that the gang operated collectively without a single leader and that some of the suspects were already in custody on other charges. The gang is known to have worn specific colors and used coded hand signals and greetings, but Mackesy did not provide further details.
Murder. 46 alleged members of a dangerous gang are off the streets of Jacksonville following a long-term investigation by local and federal authorities.
Well, Katie, the sheriff went as far as to say that this gang, the Rolling 20s, has been dismantled. This was a large-scale operation. The sheriff says this gang has ties up and down the East Coast. Now, this investigation all started back in April 2016. Sheriff Mike Williams says the Rolling 20s gang is responsible for the planning and a man who was a witness in a separate case against a gang member. The Rolling 20s members and associates face charges ranging from murder to cocaine sale. Now, police made the arrests in 2 phases. The first, 22 members, and then the second phase, members and associates who tried to fill those voids.
41 individuals suspected of being members of the multi-state gang known as the Rolling 20s were arrested in Jacksonville following a 2-phase investigation, according to an announcement by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Mike Williams also noted that 5 additional members remain at large and are currently wanted by authorities. The investigation initially began in response to the 2016 deletion of security guard Michael Wright. During the inquiry into this case, JSO focused on the primary suspect, Quinny Hudson. Wright was expected to testify against Hudson, who had been jailed in 2014 for allegedly throwing a concrete stone through a car window occupied by a woman and a small child. Hudson was later found guilty in 2017 for orchestrating a plot to delete Wright while in jail. As the investigation progressed, authorities uncovered Hudson's affiliation with the Rolling 20s, described as a structured organization within the Bloods gang. This connection revealed the gang's involvement in multiple acts of violence and criminal activities across Jacksonville, including deletions, attempted deletions, robbery, narcotics trafficking, firearms trafficking, arson, witness intimidation, and other serious offenses dating back to May 2015. Sheriff Williams stated that the Rolling 20s gang was more organized than the typical neighborhood-based street gangs usually seen in Jacksonville. The gang's hierarchy extended beyond the city into other regions, with branches in cities such as Augusta, Richmond, Baltimore, and various locations in California. The Roaring Twenties' influence along the East Coast highlighted the breadth of their operations. Following the initial phase of the investigation, 22 suspected gang members were arrested in Jacksonville and charged by the state attorney's office. By the conclusion of the second phase, the total number of arrests had increased to 46, with some suspects facing federal charges. During the investigation, law enforcement seized over drugs.
This was a part of a long-term investigation into a gang and also into narcotics. And those men now in jail. If found guilty, they could be headed to prison.
Ian Brightman, the leader of a gang organization. Sheriff T.K. Waters explained during a news conference today that the gang members terrorized their Jacksonville community since 2019.
K4T was responsible for repeated acts of violence in this community, including multiple homicides.
JSO's focus was on Brightman and the 6 primary members of his organization. Brightman was arrested in January after a targeted traffic stop. His driver jumped out of the van armed with a knife and was shot and killed by JSO. Brightman's 8-year-old son was with him in the van. He was turned.
Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters, in collaboration with the State Attorney's Office, and ATF, announced the successful outcome of Operation Bright Lights, a 2-month investigation that led to the arrest of the leader and 7 members of the K4T gang. The primary target of this operation was K4T leader Brian Brightman, whose gang has been implicated in multiple acts of violence throughout Jacksonville since 2019. The sheriff reported that K4T was involved in numerous incidents and engaged in narcotics trafficking to fund its activities, distributing significant quantities of drugs across the city. The goal of Operation Bright Lights was to dismantle the organization by removing its leadership, and Sheriff Waters believes that the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office succeeded in this objective. One of the firearms recovered was linked through ballistics evidence to a 2021 incident, highlighting the gang's connection to various crimes. During the investigation, the leader of K4T, Brian Brightman, was apprehended in a targeted traffic stop in Ocean Way. His driver, Eric Thornton, was fatally shot by a Jacksonville officer after brandishing a knife. Brightman's 8-year-old son was present in the vehicle at the time of the arrest. According to Sheriff Waters, the K4T gang had approximately 40 members and was distributing large quantities of drugs. The firearms recovered during the operation were linked to several crime scenes. One Glock pistol was connected to 4 separate incidents, while a rifle was associated with 2 crime scenes from the previous fall. Sheriff Mike Williams announced the arrest of 10 members of Problem Child Entertainment, a group that authorities say portrayed itself as a music collective, but was involved in a series of criminal activities, including robberies, shootings, drug trafficking, and other violent acts. This group is alleged to have been connected to several incidents, including the 2016 drive-by shooting that resulted in the deletion of 22-month-old Aiden McClendon. During a press conference, Sheriff Williams stood alongside a display of those arrested on federal racketeering charges, explaining that the investigation into PC spanned several years and concluded with a final arrest on November 10. He stated that the group had been responsible for numerous firearm-related incidents over the past 3 years, including multiple acts of violence. Once PC was identified as a violent gang, law enforcement agencies concentrated their efforts on identifying the primary members and dismantling the organization. Authorities linked several members to various violent acts, including the 2016 drive-by incident involving Aiden McClendon and the July incident involving 23-year-old Glenn McNeil Jr. Sheriff Williams revealed that Jacksonville is home to about 40 documented gangs with approximately 800 members. He described PC as a street gang disguised as an entertainment group and declared that their reign of terror has come to an end, emphasizing that the community had endured enough. Among those arrested, Quayne Richardson, 18, faces multiple charges, including those related to Aiden's incident. Henry Hayes, 4, also 18, was previously arrested and charged in connection with the same incident. His older sister, Cynthia, 21, was taken into custody on charges of assisting other gang members by providing them with transportation and getaway vehicles. Sheriff Williams noted that this was a significant breakthrough in the investigation, which allowed authorities to piece together the connections between various members and link them to the organization. Danny Haddon, 20, faces 2 racketeering charges and has been linked to a firearm used in the Jacksonville Beach incident involving McNeil during 4th of July festivities. New evidence presented by prosecutors indicates that other members of the gang had plans to ambush a police officer in his patrol car using an assault-style rifle. However, law enforcement have been monitoring their activities, including social media and communication channels, and gathering intelligence from those already in custody. The extensive investigations and subsequent arrests of gang members in Jacksonville represent a significant step towards disrupting the operations of dangerous criminal organizations. By targeting these groups through coordinated efforts and utilizing laws such as the Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations (RICO) statute, law enforcement agencies have demonstrated their resolve in holding those responsible for violent and illegal activities accountable. While these actions have significantly weakened the gangs involved, ongoing vigilance and community support will be crucial to preventing the resurgence of gang violence and ensuring long-term safety and stability in Jacksonville.